July 1984. Eugene, I have known you for 10 years now. As you know, I have always maintained that in essence, what you have been saying or things that you are saying is almost the same as what has been said by the Upanishad seers, the Buddha, and to what Krishnamurti is saying. Except that you are using the contemporary language, which, again, according to me, is true to the tradition. But apparently, you seem to deny this. We have discussed this on many occasions, but never in a systematic manner, at least with me. I would like to once again try to discuss this with you. But before we start, I would like to make a few things clear. Being trained in philosophy, my approach is going to be a philosophical one. Hence, it may not be out of place here to define the word philosophy so that we know in what sense the word is being used in our discussion. The word philosophy, as you very well know, has been used in different senses at different times in history. But broadly speaking, it may be defined as an attempt to understand the world and man's relation to it. Or it can also be defined as a worldview, as the Marxists do. Thus, a philosopher would, in his attempt to understand the world, raise or ask and attempt to answer a number of questions which he considers are peculiar to him. Here, as you once again very well know, the questions and answers of a philosopher are bound by the time and culture in which he lives. But certain questions have come to be called perennial philosophical questions. Some of these are metaphysical, epistemological, and ethical, which are also called the pillars of a philosophical system. In our discussion, I would like to cover all these areas as much as possible. Now, to start our discussion, I would like to begin by asking you an epistemological question, because, as you know, epistemology, or the theory of knowledge, attempts to see if knowledge of anything is possible, and even if it is possible, how do we determine whether the knowledge that I have is valid or invalid, correct or incorrect, true or false. So I would like to know if knowledge of anything is possible according to you. Because if knowledge is not possible, that is, if you say something and I don't understand what you are saying, there is no point in discussion. So may I begin by asking you this question. Is knowledge of anything possible? And then we go on. Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, it's very concrete. And as I said this morning, the problem between us is that you function in a state of knowing all the time, whether you are awake, asleep, or dreaming. But I am functioning in a state of not knowing. But when there is a demand for knowledge, which is only functional in nature, it is always there. It comes. I don't know if I can.
Could you make this clear? You see, my functioning in the knowing field and you are functioning in a not knowing field, or whatever you are saying.
Yes.
How would you?
So you have got, you are sitting in front of a tree, for example. So what I mean by saying is that you know that it is a tree. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know that it is a tree. So that is the knowledge I am talking about. The knowledge about yourself, the knowledge about the world around you, whether it is tree or sunrise, sunset, mountain, telephone, or anything. What I am trying to suggest is that there is no difference between the outside and the inside. It is all one. So is it possible for you to function without knowing what is going on there, whether it is your feeling or the objects out there? So the knowledge is already there. And here I really don't know what I am looking at. I really don't know what is happening inside of me. Whether I am happy or unhappy, miserable or angry or bored or talking, it's an automatic thing. There's nobody who is talking here. So there is no knowledge here at any time except when there is a demand. And the demand is always from outside. There is a challenge. And when there is a challenge, The knowledge is there. When that challenge is made, and then the knowledge isn't there anymore. There is no continuity of the knowledge. And I don't know if it makes any sense to you.
But whenever you see the knowledge that we have all accumulate.
Listen, you see, knowledge is the totality of your thoughts, the totality of your experiences. That is knowledge. So, you recall a specific thing at a specific time, and so do I. And that you call memory. When I look at the table, and if you ask me what is it, I would immediately say it is table. So do you. Yes. I don't know, we are not moving. What exactly do you mean by knowledge? I really don't know. It's not something mysterious, it's not something abstract. The knowledge that tells you that you are a man, and that the lady that is sitting there is a lady and not a man. And I am happy, I am unhappy, I am miserable, I am bored, I am angry, I am free, I am not free, I am an enlightened man, I am not an enlightened man. That's exactly what I mean by knowledge.
Yeah, but is this all that knowledge there is? Or see, when, for example, the Indian philosophers talk of knowledge, they use a capital K, where they mean the knowledge of something that is not, usually applicable to the world of the experience that we have.
I don't think that there is anything other than this. The reality of the object out there is something which cannot be experienced by me, except through the help of that knowledge. The knowledge that he is a man. See? So you know lot more about him if you try to understand him clearly. See that he is a man, that he is Jewish, that he is a businessman, he is a philosopher, he is this, that, and the other. All that is his knowledge.
And that is all there is.
That is all there is for him. And even the reality of that is something which cannot be experienced by me. So, the reality of the world as it is imposed on me is all that is there for me, and so there is no other reality. So even this is difficult to experience without the help of the knowledge. So you have acquired this knowledge during the course of your life through what is called the act of knowing. And when I say the act of knowing, what I mean is that you have accumulated these memories, you see, and the knowledge that is transferred to you, the information, and you have added to that information the concepts, and hearsay, and so on and so forth. You see, that is all that is there. There is nothing there other than the totality of this knowledge that you have accumulated in the course of your life. That is what is called you. So, that is the only way you can function, and that's the only way you experience things. Without that knowledge, it is just not possible to experience anything. You may not accept that, but factually and actually, you have no way of experiencing the reality of the world in which you are functioning, let alone the world beyond, or some other reality, which all these philosophers, both East and West, both in the East and the West, are trying to imply that there is another kind of a reality. So when this is impossible for you to experience, the reality of the world as it is imposed on us by our culture, and there is no point in talking of the other reality, if there is any.
No, but the thing that I experience, are you denying the existence of things apart from knowledge? For example, you were talking something about knowledge preceding experience.
There is no knowledge preceding experience. It is only possible for you to experience things with knowledge. That's all that I'm saying. If the knowledge of the thing is not there, there is no experience. So, you use the knowledge to experience things for the purpose of strengthening and fortifying that knowledge.
No, but whenever I come in contact with some object, there are sensations, which are experiences.
Unless you translate those experiences within the framework of your knowledge, You cannot experience anything. You cannot talk of even sensation because there is no such thing as sensation without the translation of the particular sensation in terms of what you know.
I may not translate. I may not...
And I don't use the word translate. Yeah. You see, you are not even conscious of the fact that the senses are responding to the stimuli.
But are you denying the possibility of that phenomenon occurring in a human being?
You have no way of saying anything about sensations except when you translate them in terms of what you know and use that knowledge to experience things. So it can be proved in the laboratory that there is such a thing as a sensation and how this body is responding to this stimuli. But what separates the response from the stimulus is this knowledge you have of the particular sensation.
And that knowledge is the one that is responsible.
That is passed on to us from generation to generation. And that knowledge you use to experience things, and through that experience you strengthen this knowledge. So, so it goes on and on and on. You know? So it is not in the interest of that knowledge to let the sensations alone. It has to capture them within the framework of the knowledge, translate them, and experience them, and through that this is gaining momentum, gathering momentum. That's all.
Was there a time when man was just functioning without knowledge, just the sensations, and just responding to the outside environment?
You do not even know that, you see, that there is something here which is responding to the stimulus. So the stimulus and the response to that stimulus is one unitary movement. Only when there is a space between the two, it is possible for you to experience that. Not as a sensation, but an experience which is the result of the knowledge you have about that sensation. So what creates the space between the stimulus and response is the moment of thought, which is knowledge. Then only it is possible for you to experience a thing, whether it is a sensation or the hardness of the object or the softness of your pillow or anything that is happening there around you and inside.
No, I think what I want to ask was, you said somewhere along the line, man began to experience, became self-conscious. So till then, and whenever that was.
You want to fix a date of that?
No, I don't want to fix a date, but I just want to find, till then.
Till then?
Yeah. How was man functioning?
Something like the animals. Just like the animals. So what I'm emphasizing is that actually there is no difference between the animals and the species called man.
Was there complete harmony and equilibrium at that time?
When there is no division, there is bound to be harmony. And what I mean by harmony is the absence of division. Not the division between, you see,
two objects. That is there.
Isn't it?
The division between two objects is there.
That's exactly what I am denying. See, what did you say again?
The division. Yes.
The division comes into being only when there is a movement of thought. And it is the thought that creates the space. I don't want to call it the division, the space between the two. See, what creates this? That's exactly what I'm trying to point out. So it is that the stimulus of this that creates the center here. There is nothing here. It is that creates the center here. And the center that I'm talking about is not the big I or the big S or the small s, small I, but the knowledge of that. See, the word table is the I, and there is no other I than the word table. All right. The word happiness is the I. There is no other I other than the word happiness. So
the whole tradition has talked about an I and self and the realization of self.
No, there is no self there, there is no I there. And there is no psyche there, there is no mind there is nothing there except the pulse, the beat, and the throb of life. Nothing is there.
So this has been made clear even in the Upanishads and some of the sutras, but man has always made an attempt to overcome the self or conquer the self or realize whatever.
That I think is one of the most foolish and absurd things that man has tried all his life to be free from that. See, that is, to be free from knowledge is to put an end to the continuity of the knowledge. And it is other words, it is the death. That's the only death that is there. The end of the knowledge is the end of you. The you as you know yourself, that is knowledge. The end as you experience yourself. The you there is first the knowledge, and then through the help of that knowledge we experience another you which is no different from the you that the knowledge has created there. So it gives you the illusion that these are two different things. But actually it is one.
Actually one in the sense that there is no difference between me and the other. I mean, that becomes a metaphysical...
No, to say that there is no difference between me and the other has no meaning to me. When once you posit or create a thing called me, then there is the other. And this me is created by the other. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. There is no me there at any time. The knowledge you are talking about is absent here except when there is a response to the stimulus of the object out there or the stimulus of the object called sensation inside. So there is no I there at any time. The I that is there is the totality of your thoughts, which produce the experiences. And the experiences in their turn strengthen that and maintain the continuity. That is the reason why you have to experience all the time. Every time you look at it, you have to experience again using this knowledge. So it is a thing that it has to go on. Otherwise, you see, the whole thing is coming to an end. So there is always a demand for more and more and more and more of experiences.
The knowledge doesn't want to come to an end.
The knowledge is self-perpetuating in its nature.
Why is that?
Don't ask the question, that is its nature.
And I don't understand what you mean by
the way it can perpetuate itself is to know more and more and more. Okay. To know more and more becomes possible only when you experience these things again and again and again.
If this body is intelligent enough to function on its own,
yes.
How come
whatever intelligence that is necessary for the survival of the living organism is already there, and there is no need for you to learn anything in that area.
And
so whatever you learn, whether it be philosophy or religion or science or any technical tool you acquire through your education, is for the purpose of functioning in this organized world. There is effort always. Without effort you can't learn anything. Whatever is necessary for the survival of the living organism is learned in a sort of a subliminal way. No effort is necessary. You don't even know that you are learning something. So the intelligence that is necessary for the survival of the living organism is already there. So there is no need for you to awaken any intelligence.
And how did, if that was there, how did thought take over?
The thought is action. So the moment the thought is born, the action is complete.
No, I mean, you said somewhere along the line, to go back to that again. Why did this organism allow itself to be dominated by thought?
See, the thought is integral part of the living organism. The thought is an action that is essential for the survival of the living organism. But you are using the thought to maintain the continuity of the flow of thought, which is knowledge. I'm not separating the knowledge and thought. See, they are one and the same. That's the only way it can maintain its continuity.
And how did it come to an end in your case?
It has not come to an end.
The thought is still there.
It is still there. If the thought is not there, you are dead. The thought is, I am not living in a thoughtless state at all. The thought is there when there is a need for it, and the thought is not used for the purpose of perpetuating its continuity. That's all. So it is there for functioning in this world sanely and intelligently. And why should you function sanely and intelligently? If you don't function sanely and intelligently, we will end up in the funny form, singing merry melodies and loony tunes. So that's all. It has no other value.
But in which way there is difference between the animal and man? Because animal also gathers experience, has knowledge, and responds according
It doesn't use thought to become something.
Well, the living duck of the globe, it has somehow some part to leave the other ducks.
That is part of the nature. So you are still an animal. That's the reason why you go and sit at the feet of the master and listen to all the crap that he's dishing out day after day, day after day. You swallow that and lick it like a dog. So you can never be free from that as long as you remain an animal. You call yourself, I don't mean you maybe something extraordinary, I don't know. Only when you cease to be an animal, you become a human being. That human being is not the transformed individual that you are dreaming about. You see? Or an enlightened man.
So our thought system is the same as the one of the duck.
You see, it has become more complex and complicated. That's all. See, in the case of humans. And that's all there is to it. I'm sorry, I don't know.
And because of physical evolution, the man is supposed to be the
that is also part of the survival mechanism. See, to believe in God is necessary. It became necessary for man to believe in God as a means of survival. See, so to belong to a church is a means of survival. Or if it's some other church, Protestant church, or some other political system, belonging is a necessary ingredient of the survival mechanism of the humans today, the humankind.
It's a way of hierarchy, the same as the politics. Believing in God.
No, but where do you draw the line? You see, that mechanism is protecting itself. You see, it's a self-protecting mechanism. And in the long run, it's going to destroy itself. You asked me a question that was probably necessary because whatever is created has to come to an end. You see, it's a speculation. I can't say with any definitiveness that was the reason why we thought assumed tremendous importance.
No, if there was complete equilibrium and harmony, why did it have to come to an end? Whatever there was.
That is not its nature. It is short-lived in its nature, you see. So the living organism is going through a process of living and dying all the time. And it is that is interested in maintaining its continuity. The demand for permanence comes from the thought. But the living organism is immortal in its nature. So nothing is destroyed here. Through dying, it is adding to the momentum of living. See, death is an essential part. The death of the body is an essential part of the living process. I don't know, there's such confusion. So you cannot stop that. You have nothing to do with it. What have you to do with the body? You have nothing to do with it. It is like you see acquiring you are a squatter there. The thought is a squatter in the house. And the servant is trying to control the master. See? He's not going to succeed. Unfortunately, see, if the time comes for the servant to quit, he would adopt what is called a scorched earth policy. During the war, when they had to leave, you see, they burnt everything, they built just everything, you see, and then left it. So if it is pushed out of its primary importance, it will burn the whole thing, destroy the whole thing. If you survive, you survive. If you don't, you go there.
So actually with our thinking process, we are twisting the body. We are just
trying to control something which you cannot control. That is the conflict. Yeah? The conflict is between the knowledge that the society or culture or whatever you call it is put in there. And not only that, it has created the goal for man, the goal of a perfect human being. And the nature is interested in creating a perfect human body and not a human being. And that's the conflict. So this culture, whether be it Occidental or Oriental, has done the greatest harm to the humankind, calling it mankind.
What is the nature of the perfect human body?
It has no use to which you can put that human being. It's just a flower. See? I don't like to use the word simile flower because it is too silly. It has some mystical overtones. A very idiotic poet, a very mystic, see, very simple example of a flower.
So what would be the perfect body without being twisted by the mind?
It's already perfect. Nature has created one of the most beautiful things there.
As it is now.
As it is now. So you don't have to improve on it. You don't have to do a thing. You don't even have to bother about this, keeping it healthy. Forget about all that. Good food, healthy food, and yoga, vitamins. So just for that. Don't trouble that body with petty little experiences. This, the attitude, density, love, compassion. Don't bother that. It is functioning very smoothly and happy. It doesn't need all this stuff. It is a pain for in the neck. It's a pain in the arms and shoulders. Don't delete.
That's not aesthetic.
No.
I mean, this perfect...
He's a philosopher, so you see.
Yeah, okay. We should really get back to epistemology.
Theory of knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, now you say that it's not possible to experience the
Try it
reality.
now.
What?
Try it now.
I experience what I think is the reality.
But it's called.
I don't know. I'm trying to find out what you're talking
No,
about.
I'm telling you a very simple fact that there is nothing else there other than that, you see. And don't bother about
But without
the
the knowledge, this is not a table.
What the hell is
So
it?
then what is...
I knew you would ask that question. You don't know.
I've been sitting on this...
So, I don't call it a donkey. I don't call it a donkey for purposes of communication. We all have agreed that that is called a table.
Right.
That's the end of it. So why should you bother about experiencing the reality of that if there is any? And what for do you want to experience the reality of it? It is functional in value. So if there is any other reality or not, that is...
Because when you say that one cannot experience the reality...
So why are you concerned about, you see, or why are you talking of... No, not you. Why are we concerned about, you see, another reality?
Well, because that sounds like another reality.
No.
So when you say that, you say...
No, I'm saying that even this, the reality of this object that we have been handling, dealing with, experiencing all of our lives is something which cannot be experienced by you except through the knowledge. The knowledge is that is a table, that this is made of God knows what wood. And the legs are made of what? Iron? Yes, I don't know what. You see, that you can go on, see. Elaborate it and then try to add more and more and more to your knowledge. If you don't know, you bring a specialist and he will tell you something more about it, where this wood came from, which particular carpenter managed to create this ugly thing called table here, or the beautiful thing, whatever you want to call it. So you can add more and more knowledge.
That reality is something that I cannot experience.
No, that is all that is there. And what you call reality is nothing more than that. So don't even try to experience even the reality of this object and forget about the other reality. That's all that I'm saying.
So you are saying even the experience of this reality is not possible. You cannot experience this.
Anything.
Even if this is the only reality.
Yes, even this you cannot experience. Why the hell are you interested in or talking about the other reality? Take that box.
So then is there any reality?
And throw him somewhere else.
So then is there any reality?
Yeah, is there any reality there?
No reality at all. Because there is no object there to be experienced.
What is there?
I don't know. That's the answer. So how the hell do you know that you do not know? I know that. You see, that's the logic. You see, you do not want that logical thinking to be blocked there. So then you see these questions which you think are very logical, rational and clever are not there. So it is this question that separates you from the object, and then you see you play this game of wanting to experience that first, which is possible only through the help of this knowledge, and then ask another idiotic question, is that real and what is it? You see, it's all right, sit in the classroom and discuss forever and what is the reality of the object that is sitting there. First, the moment you say that the object, you are in trouble. Whether it is a table or a chair or a donkey.
This is what mystifies the whole thing. When you say you cannot experience that without knowledge. Supposing I have no knowledge, then there is something else.
There is no supposing, you see. What is supposing, you see?
No, you see, the implication
question which you are asking is absurd because there is a supposition there, if there. That is the problem. So, supposing, you see, gives room for your speculation. And thereby it has provided the material for you to become a philosopher. And to use that to make everything.
No, but whatever you are saying, that's not him.
That is not your fault.
No.
That's not your fault.
The implication of what you say is that there is something which I am not experiencing.
It is the knowledge that says that there is something. First, number one statement. You understand?
Yes.
Huh? So, it is the same knowledge that goes one step further and says that that is a table. It is the same knowledge that goes another step and says that that is a wooden table and not an iron table. That is clear. That it goes on and on and on and on.
Now what about, let's take a few steps back.
You come to the point where the supposition comes to an end. And so that is the end of the whole story.
Okay, before the knowledge says that there is an object,
what
you need to say there is no separation of this from the background.
Exactly. So it is the thought that
there has
comes
never
in.
been a single thing.
Never. So it is the thought that comes in, which is a question, and then separates you from what you call an object, and creates two things there. And so that is the I that I am talking about. The thought is the I. So in relationship with that center, you create the things around it. There was no thought there. Then you say, I know your question. How do you know that the thought was not there? So that's the crux of the problem. That is why I say there is no way you and I can carry on any dialogue, any conversation on any level, except as you see a person who is ready to accept what I am saying as an act of faith. So you enter the area of religion. You see? And that is how the religious man has perpetuated this for centuries.
But all those religious people who had those experiences,
Listen, you see, you just don't have the guts to say all of them are wrong. It does not mean that I am saying I am the only one who is right. No, I am the top dog. I am the one that has descended from heaven. You see, the whole world has created me for the main purpose of saving the whole world from all the religious teachers. Not at all. So there is somehow this courage. Not true courage. You see, I stumbled into this. But what is there can be described as courage because the entire past has been somehow, through some strange chance or through some luck, has been wiped out. And so, no power in the world can touch that certainty in. And this certainty I cannot possess.
And it can't be acquired by faith.
Not at all. You are lost body and soul. I'm sorry to say the word soul, but that's one of the idioms, idiotic mystical language.
So the best way is to accept it by faith and make a religion out of it.
And drug yourself and go to sleep.
That's what we can do.
That's all.
No, but we can't really do that because the objects exist for us.
You mean to say that they don't exist for me, the walls don't exist for me?
Well, not unless you need them for some purpose.
No, you see, I don't say that the walls are there. You see, I don't function in the space because it's the thought that creates first of all the space. So when I am there, the intelligence that you see the nature has put in there tells that this is a wall. So you don't walk to the wall, bump your head against the wall, and have a bump and call this, you see, harms.
But if you're just sitting there and not walking in any direction, are the walls still there?
No, I'm not here.
And you are not there.
It's not a mystifying thing. I am not here means the knowledge that I am caged in.
And the space
in this,
is not
in this,
there. You're not enclosed in this space.
Yes. So what encloses first creates a point, you see.
There is no space.
There is no space.
No dimension.
No dimension.
Okay,
if there is no space, how can there be?
How can we produce that as an act of faith? We can't do that.
Yeah, that's right. So if you believe that this man is not, you see, a crazy one, and that he is what he claims himself to be, functioning, you see, in a different reality.
On alternate days.
Oozing with compassion, love for the suffering mankind. Just fine with me.
If we take the myth of the cave of Plato, it is silly to be concerned with anything else than the shadows on the walls of the cave.
You don't even see the cave. See, in my bathroom, I always see figures there. Marble flooring, something, you know. So they are not there. I see one big guy, information sign. Actually, it is not.
No, I don't know what happened to holiday building.
What did you say? But Plato did not realize that the one who was talking about the shadows himself was a shadow.
But the shadow is the knowledge.
Knowledge.
The shadow is the knowledge,
Yes.
and we cannot come out of it. It's the world that two dimensions, and we have no way to. And there is
But
nothing.
what do you want to be free from that? That's my question. They have created this neurotic situation for you, first of all, and say you be out of that neurotic situation and go to a man who is more neurotic than you are. Otherwise, he can't tell you that there is a way out. You see, so he puts you on a merry-go-round. You go on and on and enjoy that. Right? For the rest of your life, hoping that some miracle somehow will happen to you. The age for miracles is gone.
Was it ever there?
And Jesus walked on shallow waters and called it walking in the river. It was not even ankle deep. You see. Some such miracle. Why can you have had enough of it?
You have enough fun.
Good. See you. Bye-bye.
Christian ego was wounded.
In what you call my knowledge is there,
Listen, there is no mind art.
even if
Now they are
no word about it.
No, now they are suggesting that it is not the environment, your parents, your school teachers, and the whole world around you, but that is already there imprinted in your skull.
The capacities or
Not only the capacity, the actual things.
The data itself?
Itself. Now, 2,000, how many millions of years ago?
No, that's only capacity.
To talk, and they will come out with, you see, not only the capacity to learn languages and talk.
Yeah, but that's not the data
Listen,
itself.
whatever you see there was there in the single cell. The saying that the tree is in the seed is a fact. You see, for some reason there is no water, the soil is very bad for the germination of that seed, and so that is the end of it. You see. So it does not end there. The tree may not come out of the seed, but you see, the decay of that seed has enriched the soil, so some other tree will come somewhere else. Well, when we were, like you see that, what is it, red pin and running fast, you see, so fast to... Huh? No.
The religion of the sciences
Running so fast to keep ourselves where we are. Something like that.
Oh, Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. Yes.
Multiplying.
Running so fast to keep yourself where you are. Something like that. And I'm old. Memory is not good.
Yeah, that physical evolution he's not denying.
The physical evolution, I have to accept it, you see, as a hypothesis, and it is workable. You can check some of those things. But if somebody wants to imagine that God created the world in 6 days, there is enough evidence to show that it wasn't so. There is scientific evidence.
Yes, scientific evidence.
That it has taken millions and millions of years, and one thing came after another. So many things have become extinct, so many things are going to be extinct. And to assume that the species called the human beings is some important thing that has occurred on this planet is highly presumptuous on the part of man. And it was this unfortunate occurrence of self-consciousness in man that strengthened and perpetuated it, you see. And there came a time when, you see, some joker called, I don't know the name, you should not do it there, Southern Mississippi, said that this world is created for the benefit of you. Whole thing is created. So that's the beginning of the...
Oh, that's in the Bible.
That's in the Bible.
Yeah, I meant that.
You should be careful.
The Bible. So I was going to say the joke of Jesus.
No, he didn't say that. That's all in Genesis. It's Moses.
There are some Jewish guys.
What do
Put it there.
Okay, just because the capacity to speak pre-existed for several million years does not mean that the language which you are using today existed then.
We made noises and sounds.
Right.
Slowly we have
So
learned
that's
how
the
to...
difference between
So now
the
we have
capacity and the data.
No, but probably, you see, through these millions and millions of years, it has become possible for us to learn all that faster, and then, you see, the generations to come will
Learn faster.
Faster. You see, that's all that I'm saying, you know. And everything is genetically controlled. Even the dislike of vanilla ice cream exists in a newborn baby, it seems. That's why they spit out everything they eat. They just don't like it. So everything is genetically controlled. Man has absolutely no freedom of action. And this demand for freedom of action is the cause of man's sorrow. So you may very well ask the question, are we not free to walk out of this room? Certainly you are free to walk out of the room. That's all you have, that limited freedom. But the freedom I am talking about is the freedom to be free from the continuity of this knowledge. You can't be a kingdom. You have absolutely no freedom of action in that kingdom. If some others say it can be done, but that way. I say it can be done. Sorry.
Surrender.
Not surrender to any outside agency or power, but a surrender in the sense that you can't do a damn thing about it. So what I am saying is, why you want to do it, you see, that is put in there, you know, by, say, your so-called religious teachers.
You want to go the opposite way.
Yes. They have made life more miserable than you can imagine.
But you see, even when you say that the appearance of self-consciousness in man is an unfortunate occurrence, that...
Which cannot be reversed.
Yes, but
which cannot be reversed. So I can sit and speculate, maybe that was essential.
But that gives an idea of reversal.
Yes,
just because you say it's unfortunate. Why do you say it's
unfortunate? So now I
unfortunate?
am adding it, since it cannot be reversed, it is unfortunate. Because all your interest is either to reverse it or put yourself on a different keel and do something about it. And then change and bring about change in your consciousness. And to me, the consciousness is thought, and thought is consciousness. And there is no other consciousness at all. The consciousness may be a word, a synonym for life. You see, the Hindus used a very interesting word for this, not awareness. They called it Sakshi Chaitanya. If you say witness, you see, there must be somebody who is witnessing it, no? So the consciousness is aware of its own incredible depths. I think that's the Sanskrit words to help somewhere. So they use this word Sakshi Chaitanya, pure consciousness. So it is aware of itself. You see, after listening to the teacher for 12 years, if the idiotic student asks the teacher, how is it that is aware of that, you see, you know? So the teacher knows this fellow hasn't moved one step from where he started. And so out of sheer disgust he says that he is aware of that. So that statement becomes the foundation of a school of thought in India. That statement, that is aware of that. You know? So anything you say becomes the foundation for, you see, a school of thought in India.
So wonderful. That.
Huh?
So what is that? That is aware of itself.
So what do you expect? You see, that question?
No, but I mean, say that fellow, he just made that statement just to silence the fellow?
No, out of sheer disgust. I have failed.
Did that fellow assume that there was somewhere to go?
Yeah.
Where?
The student, yes. The student,
No, but
yes.
you said that the teacher, because the student had not, after 12 years had not moved, out of disgust he said it's aware of it.
And the time came for him to quit the teacher. Huh? You're all the time emphasizing that there's nothing there. You know, just forget it and sweep my room and do my bed and wash my utensils and cook my food or do something. And don't run away with my wife, which they did. So, they're just good teachers.
The survival of the organism does not need any effort. But the survival in this organized society will need effort. What is the
To awaken another kind of intelligence, which is intellect. So that is the education. It's impossible to function in this world. It's so organized that you have no place in this world unless you acquire those capacities to function in this world. It's true.
Is it because of this effort trying to survive the society, you put it into the other area?
Yeah, so this,
which you don't need?
no effort is necessary. So you talk of a state of effortlessness, and what you are actually doing is using this effort to be in an effortless state. You understand? Huh? So the time, you invent a thing called the timeless state. The time invents the timeless state, and through that invention, the time gathers momentum. That's the only way it can continue, see? Or a thoughtless state, an invention of thought to perpetuate itself. Until that is a wonderful state, timeless, thoughtless state descends upon him. He will continue. It will continue that. And we are all there.
The fact of talking about that timeless state involves that my mind is trapped in time.
I'm saying there is no timeless state, my good friend. What is there is time.
So the religion usually they're talking about now is for the survival in the organization.
Exactly.
Rather than the actual.
No, the religion was the caretaker of the society then. But they have lost their control, so they are still trying to achieve a comeback using the gullibility of the people, you see. That's all.
Now, is it possible that when you say all the teachings, among all the teachings, there are two. One is the actual thing, and the other is for the preservation of the organized life.
That is already there. So the other one...
So instead of saying that, have the courage to say that all the teachings are wrong, rather than saying that I don't really know what they're talking about. In other words, you don't understand what people are teaching, really. I mean, you can only experience your own experience.
You're talking about me or you?
Well, I mean, as a person.
Yes.
So instead of saying that all the teachings are wrong,
He
because
says that
because what you say
he says that how can they all be wrong? So my answer to otherwise, you see, there's no need for me to answer that way. When he says, can all of them be wrong? My answer is all of them can and are wrong.
All wrong.
They not only can and are wrong.
Instead of saying they're all wrong,
No.
supposing what you say is true, supposing, but I don't understand.
No, what is true and valid for me is not true and valid for you.
Exactly.
So this
then I don't really know what you're talking about.
Now you know what you are talking about.
And in other words, I can never really understand any other person.
The point I am putting across is very simple, that there is nothing to understand here. So how did this understanding that there is nothing to understand dawned on me? See, so I have no way of telling you how it happened. So you are asking the question, how this understanding that there is nothing to understand dawned on me because you want to make it happen to you. I don't know if you can see. So otherwise the question has no meaning. So I say it is a causal, it has no cause. So you cannot imagine of anything happening without a cause, because the structure that is operating there is born out of this cause and effect relationship. So it cannot accept it. The acceptance of this means the end of the continuity of the structure there.
Perhaps grace, as traditional people would call it.
You see, grace implies the grace of something. See, so
as you were saying, I think in the morning, that it chooses.
I quoted your Upanishad. Whomsoever it chooses. Whomsoever it chooses. That is the Upanishadic passage.
So Eugene, in other words, in the schools and universities, the function actually is to make you to survive in the society and should not be for this.
Why not?
Yes. Or it should not be for this so-called
are creating decent human beings, civilized human beings, true gentlemen. And
it's for survival in the
yeah, but you see, a decent gentleman is essential for the survival of society. A good man is essential for the survival of the society. A man who is free from anger is essential for the survival of the society. So the religion put a policeman in you. See, that did it. That worked so well. But now, you see, you have lost that policeman for some reason. He is still there somewhere in the background, which you call conscience or whatever you want to call it. We have a policeman outside there. See? So you can manage and do everything possible to cheat him and get away with whatever you want to get away with.
But education institutions can definitely help.
The purpose of the educational institution is to condition you in a new way, or in a way that is suitable, or what is the word? Make it possible for you to fit into that framework of the society which we have accepted as a necessary.
I don't think it is a question of acceptance. Most of us don't accept the things that are there, see, but we somehow have to put up. So therefore we have education institutions where
you want to create another kind of a framework which is no different from it.
Not exactly another framework. It is trying to...
A variation of the same, but yet you see you have to fit into the framework of the society, because that is the only society that is there. And the society you are envisaging doesn't exist at all. It's like the other reality. So much so you turn out misfits in this society.
So in what way is the better way of education?
That's the problem of the society. What kind of people the society needs to maintain the status quo?
Yes, it's a group.
And you are interested in status quo.
Certainly.
So no change can be brought about without violence. No change. It has never occurred in the history of mankind, and it is not going to happen with
But isn't it certain type of education creates the more conflict and difficulty, and whereas there may be another type of education.
The another type of education you are not, the another kind of education you are talking about will create more conflicts in that individual than the ordinary institutions we have in this world. Because you are turning them to the snobs. So what do you educate your children for? Your anxiety is to see that they are new ones. A new sops, aristocracy of different kinds. So that you don't accept the reality of the world as it is. You want to change that world. You are not going to succeed.
Some areas people have succeeded, isn't it?
In a small area, but
there is a choice. I mean, to join the camp which is going to survive, or
you will always join that. You say, or you will become a martyr and kill yourself, and you die in vain.
now you see, there's obviously there are different camps, right? Some are stronger. And
Always.
so the wiser would be to join the one that would survive.
Certainly. What is the object? To maintain the status quo.
Is there another way which would survive as an individual?
You see, there is no individual at all. That is the first...
the only camp.
No. You see, you are, as long as you are using the structure of thought, which is society, which is culture, so long you are part of that. All right. This is not an abstraction that I'm talking about. Take, for instance, pleasure. You see, if you want to have pleasure for any reason, you have to use that. Pleasure of any kind, including the ultimate pleasure called, you see, godhood, transformation, mutation. You can use any word. That is the ultimate pleasure. See? You are interested in having only pleasure without pain. That's what every human being wants. Happiness without even one moment of unhappiness. And that is just not possible because this body is involved in the sensations of pleasure and pain. See? So any attempt on your part to prolong the sensation of pleasure or happiness or whatever you want to call it, bliss, beatitude, is something that this body cannot take because that destroys the sensitivity of the nervous system. It destroys the sensitivity of the sensory perceptions. The nervous system has got to be very sensitive. The sensory perceptions have got to be very alert. Otherwise, it is not possible for this body to function intelligently. Not the intellect that we have acquired, but intelligently, which is native there, which is inborn. So your attempt to, or your demand for permanence is not going to succeed in the long run. That is the conflict that we have there. This is not fair. I don't know where we are getting.
So I agree. So in your case, how do you deal with pain? Because the continuity process...
I have only one pain, the physical pain.
And how do you deal with it? Because your nervous system...
I go to a doctor. I go to a doctor and ask him if he has any painkiller. And if he says, no, you have to live with the pain. Period, full stop.
Well, if he says, I want to stop the pain. So you are cutting the process of continuity somehow.
What?
You want to stop the pain.
I see. What is the special charm in bearing the pain? You bear the pain for spiritual reasons. You see? That is what all those religious people have taught us. You have to bear the pain because there were no painkillers at the time. See, that was the drug,
When was the last time you went to a doctor for pain?
Years ago, 30 years ago. And that was something gruesome. Can't imagine. See, the body cannot bear the pain. It loses its consciousness. You become unconscious. There's no other way. It knows what to do with it. But there is an easier way. Why bother? take a drug. See, after a while, probably the drugs don't act anymore. Then we will see.
Well, there are ways of self-hypnosis.
Yeah, that's also a drug of some sort. You produce through that self-hypnosis the morphine that is there.
But anyway, it's the knowledge which creates pleasure or pain.
Right.
Okay, so if the knowledge doesn't interfere, it's not pleasure or pain.
It has to tell you that it is pain for the body.
If it's
And you see, if there is no continuity of thought, the activity of the pain is much less than what but still it is. The pain is in the body. Why is there pain for the body? I don't have any answer for that question. So the answers for that have to come from the medical technology and not from the spiritual teachers.
You mean how pain arises in the body?
They are trying to find out.
But not why.
Why is there pain is the religious man's attempt to answer that question.
No, but physically one can understand, but the religious people have not stopped at that. They have said that even in
the fear of not getting, the fear of losing what you have, and the fear of not getting what you want. So there is a way out of this, but the wanting enlightenment is pain of all pains. So there is no way of getting enlightenment. No medicine. There is no way. You are not going to be enlightened for the simple reason that there is no such thing as enlightenment. You don't have to take my word for it. You try your luck elsewhere. So you are. That is the dukkha of all dukkha's, misery of all misery. Waiting for enlightenment. If I had enlightenment, I would be a marvelous human being. All my problems would be solved in a beautiful way.
But do you think even disease has ever existed an enlightenment like Buddha?
He is not my contemporary today. I don't know.
Well, if I had whatever you want to call it, my physical pain would be less acute. There would be no psychological pain for me, etc., etc. And what does
wanting to do anything with pain, you see, is what you call the psychological pain.
wanting to do
with the pain, wanting to
stop the pain.
To stop the pain in an area where it is not.
Yeah, but people do experience that, isn't it? In relationship, if you see...
You want to stop the pain where it is.
If my wife runs out on me,
that immediately creates...
So you see, it's there.
Right.
But you see, if you are in a situation where, you see, I'm supposed to be in, there is no wife, so there is no wife walking out on me.
No.
So you understand all the problems that you have created for yourself don't exist. First of all, you don't create a problem, and then there is no need for you to solve the problem. So if there is no way to solve any problem, that is the end of the problem. See, you cannot solve the problem, so the problem is not there. If there is a way to solve the problem, it is solved. So the ways they are suggested, the solutions they are offering to solve your problems, psychological problems, or whatever you call them, are not the solutions. You just don't have the guts to throw them in their face. Look here, these are not the solutions for my problem.
See, the solutions they have offered may not be the solution. But that doesn't rule out the possibility of there being a unique solution for...
That is what they are claiming, aren't they? The solutions that have been offered by all the others are not the solutions. This is the solution of all solutions.
So even the solution that there is no solution has also been offered.
You are not really concerned about the problem, and there is no problem there. The problem is the solutions. So you don't want the problems to go. That is simple. You see, you are not there. Finish, period, full stop. Full period. And stop, goodbye. That's enough. We'll stop.
Yeah.
In spite of religion, that's remarkable.
And I don't know what you mean in spite of religion. I see that you survive, whether it be doing Valentine or whatever.
Even the physical means.
Physical, psychological.
Physical only. Physical you can somehow survive.
Even the fact that you have dismissed psychology is a great survival technique because it's the thing that's tying us.
Try it, you see. There will be another person here.
or a non-person.
No, another person, you see, who can survive everything.
That's what you mean. Now, if
Better.
you agree that
If, as you say.
as the greatest power of survival, you are, is it true?
No?
Weakest or the
No, I don't belong either
No, but
there or
dismissing psychology is not a simple thing. You have no mind at all.
Huh?
You mean, he thinks your power structure is the strongest,
Not at all.
but you don't belong to any.
Any.
So you're different.
I'm always in a dangerous situation. I'm always in a dangerous situation.
Well, that's only a name, you know.
Huh?
But you don't, well, he said survival. No, power is okay, survival technique. Never mind what. You have the strongest survival technique, okay?
It's not even a technique. I say he's the best survivor. If you want to
Okay.
he is the best survivor I have ever met.
Okay, the word doesn't matter.
No.
Okay,
And all people want that. All people want to live that way.
But you see, this individual is facing the extinction any moment.
Who you are.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any moment. Any moment.
That is
Aren't we all in this?
Huh?
Aren't we all in this?
You are not ready. You are demanding permanence. That is why you are a frightened chicken.
That's it.
You see, this can happen any moment.
Only one survives as long as one survives. You
I don't know
survive
what exactly. I don't know exactly what you mean by survival.
getting through.
No, the one that is interested in survival, the one that is interested or demanding permanence, is finished already. So what is left here is immortal, not only surviving for a particular span of period, but forever. It may not continue in that shape. It may not continue in that shape. The very disintegration of this
Attachment to permanence.
the demand, I didn't say the word, you don't the demand for permanence or permanence in any area.
Hinders survival.
No, in any area, on any level,
Yes.
he is the one that is concerned about the survival.
It is not the bodily survival that we are
The
interested
body doesn't exist at all. You see, it has no beginning, it has no end. Your identification with what you call your body is the one that is talking in terms of survival, not the survival of this body. You have nothing to do with it. The one that is concerned about the survival or the one that is suggesting that the other one has survived, you know, through all trials and tribulations, through thick and thin, through crises after crises, is not the one that is really the permanent one. You see, this is permanent, this is immortal. It knows that. It knows itself that there is nothing to be lost here, nothing to die here.
And the death in the case of a person who has realized or who
Is that the demand for permanence, when it is not there, the concern for survival is not there at all.
so in that sense there is no death.
So even if you don't feed this body, it goes on. It survives on itself. The tons and tons of butter that you have consumed, and the gallons and gallons of double cream and triple cream that you have consumed, can take care of this body at least for a few days, 63 days. And then it grows gracefully. It doesn't go, it joins. Not something else.
So what you're saying is there's nothing to worry about.
What's the good of my telling you?
I know. But still, that's what you're saying.
Anyhow, he knows where his meal is going to come from. That's a fact.
You brought some fruit juice? Thank you. It has come from you. But unfortunately it is something which the look of which makes you sick. It's very strange.
It can easily become a joke.
Which one? The joke is that
What situation?
what you are doing is a joke. Whatever you are doing is a joke. It is totally unrelated to the thing that you want to be serious about or understand. And that's the theater. The seriousness is part of the theater. If you don't like the word theater, part of the ritual, in which you are a participant here. You have chosen it of your own free will and volition.
Right, there's nothing that I can do. Where is the question of mine? Is choosing it of my own?
He is using the word, so I am pointing out. That choice, if it is a choice, is of your own free will and volition.
Which doesn't exist.
It is not choiceless either.
Volition also doesn't exist, but
Nothing
free
exists.
will.
Nothing. You have no freedom of action there. That can be very straight. Stop. Very serious, friend.
Because sometimes one deduces out of it that it's the real thing to give to this body what it deserves.
What then?
Is to just throw out all your possessions, all your securities, all your money.
And you will be miserable for the rest of your life.
So,
And looking for some suckers, you see, to become your followers and to take care of your needs. You will become the most dishonest man in the name of saving mankind. And invent a thing called compassion. Dish it out for a price.
because the body itself doesn't want to know what makes people become important.
It doesn't even have the hunger.
No.
After a while, you see, the glucose level, you see, settles down.
And then you shop around.
No, you don't, of course. You have never, except as it's a spiritual practice, you have never starved.
Oh no, after a couple of days of fasting you don't feel hungry.
No, not at all. There is no hunger in that sense. The hunger is the chemistry of the body. The energy it needs. That's all. You eat food for energy. You don't put ideas in your stomach. That's what you are eating. That's why it has become a problem. Vegetarianism versus intuitive. Macrobiotic food versus triple polished rice. I have lived on triple polished rice. What's wrong with me? I survived 66 years, 18 days, 14 hours.